Hello there, everyone. Welcome to the panel discussion where we are ready to talk about the Wildlanka Journal and the seventh edition of the Wildlanka International Symposium, proudly hosted by the Department of Wildlife Conservation. We are ready to talk about the objectives behind in introducing such a journal, especially with a collection of peer-reviewed articles, plus the objectives behind organizing such an international symposium under the theme Wildlanka. So we have got with us three very special, eminent personalities sharing their views on these said subjects. We have got the Direct Operations of the Department of Wildlife Conservation sitting very much next to me, Mr. Ranjan Marasinghe, and we have got Ms. Nilamti Rajapaksa, Chief Editor of Wildlanka Journal, and sharing his resources and expertise here at this panel discussion. We have got Senior Professor Devaka Veerakon of the Department of Zoology of the University of Colombo. Welcome, everyone. First, would like to know from Mr. Marasinghe, you have been someone who has been quite instrumental in introducing something new always to the department and something novel. What has been the idea behind in introducing such an initiative like Wildlanka Journal to the Department of Wildlife Conservation?
Thank you, Zishan. Now, actually, I joined the Department of Wildlife Conservation in 1998.
Okay.
And we were actually a lucky group of government servants because on the second day of our recruitment, we had to go abroad for a training. So we were lucky. And we were sent to Wildlife Institute of India, where the IFS officers, that is Indian Forest Service officers, are doing their courses. And we were trained in wildlife management in a scientific manner, and we were working with the IFS officers side by side. And after coming back to Sri Lanka, what we found is now our department was actually for the public. We were just chasing elephants and that kind of manual work we are doing.
Right.
But inside we are taking care of a lot of technical things. So I felt that our message is not transferring in a proper way to the general public. So in 2005, we decided to launch a journal, a scientific journal. There, the idea was to have a comprehensive collection of scientific information done by various researchers in the field, and collect it in as a journal, a document where we can refer and summarize things and use that information in real wildlife management.
Right.
So in 2005 we got 50 papers. So then
So it was in 2005 that you had the first edition?
Yes, that was the first time.
Right.
So when we start with that 50 papers, actually I have to mention the Director General at that time was Dr. Dayananda Karyavasa.
Okay.
He was a Yale University graduate, PhD. He did his PhD in Yale University of Yale. So he was very encouraging, and he's the one who encouraged us to start these things. So we started with that 50 issues, and now we are continuously publishing, and now we are getting more papers. So
Right.
we had to switch into, we had to increase the frequency of publication. So now we are issuing 4 issues per annum, and we are doing it every year.
So, you mean to say this Wildlanka Journal marked kind of a milestone in the history of the Department of Wildlife Conservation?
Yes, I can say so. Because now, before Wildlanka Journal, we had publications like pamphlets, booklets, and posters. Some of our posters were very popular at that time.
But not the periodicals?
No. Those are ad hoc kind of subjects selected by different individuals depending on different circumstances.
Right.
So after that, now after the Wildlanka Journal, actually now we are very focused, and we are publishing several other documents like that. And now we are doing it in the scientific and professional way. So yeah, in that case, yes, we can say it's a turning point.
Right. So I've got the chief editor of the Wildlanka Journal also joining with us, Ms. Nilamti Rajapaksa. Before getting into the nitty-gritties of the Wildlanka Journal, what kind of a journal is this? Is it available for public reference?
Yes, Dushan. Now it is available for public. It is an international scientific peer-reviewed journal. Currently, it publishes high quality research papers and it is published 4 volumes per annum in March, June, September, December as an online and print. Papers published in this journal are peer reviewed by committee of experts, nationally and internationally recognized scientists and academics. Research papers, research notes, short communications and paper reviews in all fields of wildlife conservation, forestry, ecology, biotechnology, biodiversity, GIS and remote sensing, engineering and marine are accepted any time during the year to be considered for publication. It is giant step taken by the Department of Wildlife Conservation, showcasing its capacity to international scientific community.
Okay, what is the procedure in publishing it? Now, you said that you have 4 editions going out every year, and what's the procedure in like selecting the papers and all?
Manuscripts and all correspondence should be sent to editor-in-chief through wildlanka@dwc.gov.lk or journaldwc@gmail.com according to the guidelines published in the Wildlanka website, DWC website and Wildlanka online. All manuscripts are subjected to double-blind peer reviewing process. That means reviewer doesn't know identity of the author and vice versa. All manuscript texts and figures must be sent to Word format, and authors should submit photographs in low resolution JPEG files. However, before acceptance for publication, authors should submit high resolution photographs. There are no paper charges for pages, and color photographs are acceptable at no charge. Entire reviewing process, it will take 28 days in initial submissions to final decision. Acceptance to proofreading stage, it will take 14 days. Once accepted the manuscript, it will be published upcoming volume.
Okay, so it's the content being reviewed.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So joining with us, Professor Devaka Virakon. Of course, you have been kind of a person who has done this reviewing part also in the past, and someone who has been associated with the wildlife conservation and this subject very much in and out, day in, day out. So, what is your thought about the importance of such a journal, especially for the betterment or the progress march of the wildlife in Sri Lanka?
Thank you. I think I've been involved with this from the very inception. I remember in 2005 there was a project called PAN, Wildlife Conservation Project, and I was in as a consultant, and at that time I realized that the department has fairly high level scientific know-how, but like Ranjan said, they were looked as an organization that is pushing elephants and doing day-to-day troubleshooting.
Exactly.
But I felt that they can rise above that image and be a truly technical department. So I was one who strongly believed that the department must develop their research capabilities and that they should be recognized as a truly technical department. So I think when this idea came up, I thought it was a very needed one because when you look at the journals in wildlife now, in Sri Lanka we have 2 agencies who are basically dealing with conservation. One is Department of Wildlife Conservation, the other is Forest Department.
Right.
So Department of Wildlife Conservation was a little behind because Forest Department had Sri Lanka Forester, which date back many years.
Right.
So I felt that it's high time that DWC came up with their own thing. So put themselves on the scene. So I think in that way it was a very timely introduction. But I think Wildlanka Journal fulfills two other requirements. One is now most of the people in Sri Lanka, including myself, when we publish our findings, we go for international journals. But the information that we want to take out is for Sri Lankans. But very few Sri Lankans have access to these journals.
Yeah.
And as a consequence, the readership is international, but the information should be targeted at the Sri Lankan audience. So I think Wildlanka fulfilled that requirement. It gave us a platform for us to share our research findings with a much broader local community. So I think that was another fulfillment, another gap, a void that was filled by this. And the third thing is all this wildlife research is not for academic purposes. The research should support management, and management should be researched. So that is how we go from good to better to excellent. So if we publish our findings in international journals, the officers of the department do not have access to that information. So when we publish in this journal, which is a product of this department, all the officers have access to it. So they can take this information and integrate it into management, which is the ultimate goal of research, so that the research will benefit wildlife conservation in this country. Plus, another thing I see is I see a lot of DWC officers are basically publishing in this journal, which is also very important because DWC officers for a long time have been doing work, but they receive very little attention as scientists because they do not publish their work in the scientific arena. So I think Wildlanka Journal provides that opportunity for members or the officers of the department to showcase the work that they're doing in the theatre of research using this journal. But having said that, I think we all should have dreams. We should have ultimate dreams where we want to reach. Now, this journal is like Nilanti said, it's a peer-reviewed journal. Now, when we talk about publications, we have magazines like Lotus, which is for a general audience. Now, this transcends beyond that. This contains technical data presented in a technical way for more technical people. Now, the ultimate ending for such a journal is to become what is called an index journal.
Right.
That means it is considered by the international community as a real scientific technical journal. Now, that's a very difficult, it's a very arduous task. If you take Sri Lanka, there are so many journals. Only 2 journals are listed as international index journals in this country. But I think if you want to reach the moon, at least you should, or if you shoot for the moon, at least you'll reach the sky. So I would like these two. I mean, they are from the very beginning. They are young. They have the time. I hope they will take us to that level. Take Wildlanka and put it up as an index journal, so that it will be truly a technical journal that is accepted in a global level. It's a long journey, but I hope they will have the energy and the motivation at least to take us halfway through, so that their successors can eventually reach that goal and really put Wildlanka where it should belong.
So that's about the Wildlanka Journal, and of course, thank you very much, Professor, for those words of encouragement and well wishes. Coming back to the present edition of the Wildlanka International Symposium, It's been conducted for the seventh time, and especially taking into the world situation into consideration today, the seventh edition being conducted on a virtual platform, and that's for the very first time it's been done. Once again, Mr. Marasinghe, you have been someone who was playing a major pivotal role in carrying out this symposium for six last editions, and this being the seventh. What has been the success mantra? And if you are to talk about how it all started?
Yeah. Now, when we in government establishment, what we do is usually we are doing the same thing repeatedly, right? So, so when you do like that, then you become frustrated, right?
Some bored over it.
Yes, it will become a boring task. Now we started the journal in 2005, and we were publishing it annually. And by 2014, we thought we have to add something more. So because that is monotonous, and we want to make it more. There must be some happenings have to be there. So
Being more adventure.
yes, yes, yeah.
In wildlife terms.
Yeah, and what I noted was now a lot of young researchers were, publishing with us.
Right.
So, and the senior professors were editing all these ones. So that is happening. But I thought now how if we merge these two in one platform, then we can improve the research culture in the country. So that is how we started the symposium. So in the symposium, what we expected was to blend these two talents, senior professors who were the senior researchers and the junior researchers put in one place and give them a time to discuss and learn by looking at the seniors. So that is the start of 2014 one. And earlier we were getting now by 2014 we were getting enough public papers for our journal. And now the 2004 one was 1 day symposium. Next year also we had 1 day symposium, and we were getting more papers present there, so we had to make it 2 days. And we now at the moment we need to have 3 days, because the number of public communication that we are receiving is too much.
Right.
So rather than having 3 days is going to be very boring thing for scientific symposium like this. So what we do is now we screen out all the we get the best out of the best.
Right.
So now I think we are getting good publications, good communications. So now we are in a good shape.
So there's a screening process when you select the presenters as well.
Yeah.
And we know that generally the presenters are also being judged, and their contents are being judged, and there will be a rewarding as well.
Yes, usually in a symposium like this, you not based on the content, but what you judge there is the way of the presentation, how they handle questions, those kind of things. So those areas were judged, because by the time they get the chance, now they have proved that their research work is at the highest level. So nobody is judging the content of the research. But the judges will they of course look at the content, but what they are focusing on, that is the way they present and how they defend questions and things like that. So based on that, yes, we evaluate. We have a good always we are selecting a good panel of judges, and we award the best presenters, and we give several awards for the presenters.
Now this time, unlike the other editions, you had to take into consideration the current pandemic.
Yes.
And how difficult was it to, especially to carry out the 7th edition?
Yeah, that was challenging. Actually, what we have done day before yesterday and day before that was the 2020 symposium, because 2020 was a very challenging year, and we were not allowed to meet. We had to keep the 1 meter distance, and we had to limit the number of participants in public events. So we had to wait for some time, and we thought of having a virtual kind of a symposium. This is the first time we are doing it, and one way symposium, the COVID-19 pandemic gave us many things. There are negative things, but there are positive things. So I think this time the international participants are also participating through online platforms. So now earlier when we wanted to import, when we want to get the foreign the presenters, we had to spend a lot because we have to issue them articles and logistics, everything. So it was a challenging task. This year the challenge was different because we had to take care of the technologies, internet speeds and those kind of things were the challenges. Bandwidth and so technology is always failing when we need it critically. So that was a challenge, but we successfully did that. And there were papers from foreign countries, and I think this is the way forward.
Right. Ms. Nilanthi Rajapaksa, you also have been playing such a huge role when it comes to organizing this international symposium. What are the major factors that you take into consideration in organizing and carrying out an international symposium of this magnitude?
Yes. When we organize the international symposium, we have to think a lot. First thing is calling abstract and how to select abstract, preparing estimated budget, selecting conference site, hotels, dates, and choosing compare, chairpersons, judging panels, keynote addresses, and preparing proceeding books, and arranging media, arranging audiovisual equipments, and arranging sessions, inaugural sessions, awarding ceremony, and finalizing agenda, and designing event logo, and invitations.
Sending out invitations.
Yeah, it is big challenge sending invitation on time.
and how difficult it is to call for the abstracts and to really select, okay, this person is going for a presentation and this paper is out. How do you come to that kind of a situation? How do you handle such a situation?
When we organize a symposium, we have to first step is call in abstract, and then we have to select abstract. Editorial board of Wildlanka, here editorial board of Wildlanka becomes symposium organizers.
Okay.
Yeah. Symposium organizers take all decisions. They select abstract, what are the selected, what are the rejected. All decisions are taken by symposium organizers. That means Wildlanka editorial board, experts.
So they are vested with the responsibility of selecting whom
Yeah.
the opportunity of presenting at the symposium.
Yes.
Right. Professor Devaka, now we talked about the importance of having such a journal. If you are to talk about the importance of such an international symposium hosted by the Department of Wildlife Conservation, and especially what such an international symposium do to the general public, especially in Sri Lanka?
I think now in Sri Lanka we have so many research symposia organized by various organizations. But what I see is Wildlanka Symposium is the only truly dedicated symposium for wildlife to discuss matters pertaining to wildlife. I see a lot of these type of presentations given in other symposia, but what makes this unique is everything is about some aspect of wildlife. So that is very important, so that we can spend 1 or 2 days immersed in wildlife issues. It gives an opportunity for wildlife enthusiasts to come together, meet, share their ideas, and also forge new collaborations, which is very important in research. So I think that is one aspect that Wildlanka Symposium fulfills in this country. More than that, these kind of symposia are for people to present ongoing work that is in progress.
Right.
So when you come and present it, you would have noticed today most of the chairpersons, judging panels are composed of fairly senior academics. So when they listen to this, and most of the presentations were given by fairly young scientists. So that is a very nice interaction where the young scientists get some feedback as to what they're doing right, what they're probably not doing right, or what improvements that they can make. That enriches the whole practice of doing research. So I think that is one of the most important things that this symposium achieves, this interaction that will lead to fine-tuning of research in the wildlife sector in this country. Now, for general public, uh, for this type of technical symposia, rarely engage the general public because the matters discussed require some level of technical proficiency.
No.
So, for research symposia, I think generally we do not expect general public to fully engage with this. But this is open for general public. I mean, if somebody in the general public is interested in coming to this, they can contact.
But in some cases, subject matters can be the general public.
It can be, because we are talking about human-elephant conflict.
Correct.
I mean, some of these things that are matters that eventually impinges on them. So I think they also have a right to know, and I don't think we are excluding anybody, any citizen in this country from coming for this. It is open, but what I try to tell you is this may not have the same kind of appeal to all citizens because of the type of content that is being discussed. So, I mean, it's like going to some event where you don't understand half the things, which is not really a reason for you to be there. But you would find that most of the people who show up for this symposium are people who are either interested in wildlife, or people who are sort of engaged in it, or people who are thinking of a career in wildlife. So I think for all these people, this provides an opportunity. Life is all about giving opportunities. So I think this provides an opportunity for people to showcase their work, get some feedback, and also I think it gives an opportunity for the department. Once again, like I said, research in wildlife is not for the sake of doing research. It is to integrate that work for the betterment of species. So all this should eventually funnel out into conservation. So when we present these things, I think most of the officers are listening to it, and they can get some new ideas. I think the whole idea about this kind of symposia is to come here, deliberate on matters that are of interest, and walk away with some new ideas, and go and try it out in the field, and maybe come back and report next year what worked for them, what didn't work for them, and then have a healthy dialogue as to why things didn't work. So that is the sort of take-home things that this kind of symposia gives. And I think that is very important for this country, especially for this sector, because it gives a wonderful opportunity for people to really focus on issues that are critical for wildlife conservation.
In concluding remarks, Professor would like to know now, we saw so many youngsters taking part in presenting their research findings and being monitored and guided by some senior professors and all. You being a veteran in this field, the wildlife sector, as well as being a senior professor working for the university, what would be your advice to these youngsters, younger generation coming into this field, and especially in presenting their research findings?
I'm always pushing them to become better, because wildlife, the way I see it, is not a occupation. It's a way of life. I think most of us who have gotten into wildlife are in it because we love nature. We enjoy going to wildlife parks. We enjoy the work we do. So I think one of the things that I would like to give the younger generation is for them to learn how to do research, how to present, how to communicate. Because I think in science, uh, you can do the most ideal piece of work, but if you can't communicate, it is of no value.
Correct.
So I think that is one thing that people learn when they come to a symposium like this. How can they get their message across in an effective manner? I think that is what we have to train. Ideally, I think we should, like for the young people, maybe I would like to suggest to Ranjan and Nilanti, maybe what we should have is like a little workshop, training workshop as to how to present their work, what sort of things to do, what not to do. Maybe in future this can be an addition as a service to the upcoming young scientists to train them about the way you should conduct your business in a symposium like that. Because I think to be truly professional, you also have to learn that as part of your professional upbringing. And like the journal, I've seen over the years we are attracting some international papers into this. But for this to be now, Wildlanka Symposium is the calendar event for wildlife enthusiasts in this country. Like compared to 2014, we've come a long way. People are looking forward to it. People are thinking, I'm going to publish my work here. That is how you grow. But I think the ultimate level of growth is to really attract the big names in the international arena. If we reach that stage where we become an international event that people are looking forward to, and people think, oh, we have to go down. There are certain international symposia which everybody is striving to go to. So I'm, like I said, I'm a big dreamer. And my dream for this is that one day Wildlanka Symposium will become something that people are really looking forward to go to in an international level. Then I think that day we can really call it international symposium, a global event.
Right. In conclusion, Mr. Manasinga, what is your plan for the future? Anything new? Anything, something extraordinary can be expected or what?
Yeah, I think what Professor Devaka said, we were trying to do that because last year we had time to conduct several workshops. But again, we started as a ad hoc kind of an intervention, and we learned a lot by doing that. And I think we are going to add that part also. And one thing I missed during my previous explanation. Now, this the whole symposium is free of charge for students. For the from 2014 onward, we invite young researchers from various universities, and even you don't need to be a university student in that case. Even any person who want to do research in a systematic way, they can publish, and we offer them free of charge participation. Usually, for any kind of a symposium, you have to pay some amount. Maybe it's very small, but there's payment to do. So, but here we free of charge we accept people, and of course we will be adding that the quality improvement activities in the future. Yes, we are doing.
Right. So thank you very much. Today, in this panel discussion of the Wildlanka Journal and the Wildlanka Symposium, we had Director Operations of the Department of Wildlife Conservation, Mr. Ranjan Marasinga, Chief Editor of Wildlanka Journal, Ms. Nilanthi Rajapaksa, and the Senior Professor, Devaka Virakun of the Department of Zoology of the University of Colombo, sharing their thoughts, views, and expertise. Thank you very much for your time, and we hope that we did justice in talking about the journal and the symposium, and I hope you all enjoyed. And until we see you all next time, take care.